The starting field of NASCAR Grand National stock cars move off the grid now to have their run in the Rebel 500 on this original super speedway. I'm reminded of the plaint of so many drivers who have run here, who have won here, and who have lost here. Many of them say they're quite sure this racetrack exists solely to defeat them because it is one of the toughest racetracks anywhere. Hello, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson. This racetrack, 1.366 miles in length. That means the straightaways are relatively short. It also means that you must be thinking all the time. That's why this is a mentally fatiguing track. As you come down off turn 2, you must then plan what you're going to do in turns 3 and 4. So you never have a chance, really, to rest. Turns 3 and 4, particularly troublesome, particularly on a day like this when there is gusts of wind whipping across. Jackie Stewart, you traveled around it. You heard the plaintive drivers here. They all cry about 3 and 4.
Yes, they seem to be frustrated by it. And, of course, as you point out correctly, this strong wind's not going to help them. But it's more than that. It seems that the designer of this racetrack and the designer of the grandstand were somewhat apart in their thinking, because as you come off of turn 4, Keith, the racetrack seems to narrow into the grandstand, in fact, and you run short of road. It's a sort of bottleneck as you come out of 4, and when you're high in the groove, suddenly you lose the road and you've got to come in tight. And of course, this is not good at the sort of speeds that they're doing right here, and particularly through traffic. So turn 4, I think, is the one that everybody's got to watch.
Let's join now Chris Economaki, editor and publisher of National Speed Sport News, who's sitting in a rather precarious position right now atop the most scarred wall in all of racing.
Difficult it is, Keith. So difficult, in fact, that the first and second turns wall at Darlington have marks almost all the way around. These marks were not left by rookies or back markers, but by the Petties, the Pearsons, and the Yarboroughs of our sport. They've all been here at one time or another, and some out of the park, which makes Darlington one of the most exciting places to watch stock car racing. To win in stock car racing, one must beat his rival or his car on any other track. But here at Darlington, you must first beat the track.
All right, Chris, the start of the race delayed about 25, 27 minutes because of rain showers. And now let's very quickly set the field for you. Up front, starting off the pole in car number 21, it'll be David Pearson, the Woods Brothers Mercury. Outside, it'll be Cale Yarborough running alongside Pearson. We're anticipating green right now. Donnie Allison, Darrell Waltrip, row number 2. Buddy Baker and Benny Parsons, row number 3. The green is out, and we are racing at Darlington in the Rebel 500. David Pearson, the fastest qualifier in the pole, center, the man jumping into the lead with Yarborough, ducking into second place. Darrell Waltrip drops into third. Donnie Allison runs 4. Benny Parsons settles in the number 5 position. Buddy Baker gets number 6, and Richard Petty is running number 7 as they work their way now through turns 3 and 4. And this is the part of the racetrack that Jackie Stewart detailed as being so utterly capricious. You just never can be sure what's going to happen to you at these kinds of racing speeds. At the end of lap number 1, it is David Pearson holding the lead. It is Buddy Baker moving up to pick off somebody. He picks off Benny Parsons. So Buddy Baker making a bold move, coming down in front of the main straight. Jumps up into the number 5 position. The field is clean so far. The track is dry. The skies are gray. The pace should be very, very fast on the most treacherous of all racetracks.
And very slippery it is, too. This rain couldn't have helped things, because whatever little rubber was laid down on the racetrack was washed away as they come out of turn 4. The leading bunch have stretched out a little bit, but David Pearson, the old gray fox, being shadowed by the man who's leading the championship once again, and is the present NASCAR champion, car number 11, Cale Yarborough, comes in behind them as they come out of turn 2 along this very short chute. There's little or no time, as Keith said earlier, for a driver to let up. Physically a demanding racetrack, mentally a demanding racetrack.
367 laps. David Pearson, the defending champion. He is also holder of the qualifying record as well as the race record on this particular track. He has won 6 times in the Rebel 500. He has won twice since the race went from 400 to 500 miles in distance. It is David Pearson holding the lead. Cale Yarborough second. Darrell Waltrip runs third. Donnie Allison holds 4. Buddy Baker is 5. Benny Parsons 6. Richard Petty 7. Bobby Allison now in car number 12 moves up into the number 8 position.
Allison's done a good job to come through the traffic. He came up there very well, but there you see the second, third, and fourth position cars very close. The number 11 car, Cale Yarborough, with Darrell Waltrip trying to find a way past him on the racetrack, and he's trying to move up this inside to go in there now, but he can't do it. There's really only one groove around that part of the racetrack, and you just can't take any risks. There's a different color on the racetrack today, as you can see. There's a dark color at the top of the racetrack, and as you go down, it's a lighter color. Already starting to lap the back markers as David Pearson finds his way through there. Cale Yarborough closing up, and that color of the racetrack is very obvious here. They've got a new slick surface at the top, which many of the racing drivers are complaining about because it is very slippery on that dark surface.
The collective qualifying speed for the 36 starters, 146.265. That is slower than in other years, but it is still, as Jackie noted, a green racetrack. The Southern 500, which runs here this year on September 5, the second of the races, always seems to produce the faster speeds. But this one has always been the wild one, and it's because of this kind of competition. You can see that Waltrip is literally kissing the back bumper of Cale Yarborough. He almost touched him as they ducked down low, but it is still David Pearson holding the lead. And they are running right now in a four-car draft as they come down the home straight. Pearson, Yarborough, Waltrip, and Johnny Allison. All right, you just saw on videotape what happened earlier in the day. We are now back live and running here at the Darlington International Speedway, and it is Richard Petty holding the lead in the Rebel 500. And we come back at 307 laps. We're going for...
Well, I had a good shot to get a lap back on Richard, and he squeezed me off on the wall. You know, and when I came by him, I cut up into him a little bit too soon, and you know, I don't want to put Richard out, but by the same token, if I got a fair shot, I feel like I ought to be able to get it.
Okay, Johnny Allison.
That comment relative to an incident that happened under the yellow flag as Donnie Allison pulled up alongside of Richard Petty right down in front of us, and here's Richard now making a move and passing Darrell Waltrip and moving into second place. Now look at the side of Richard Petty's car there. See that dark on the car? That's where Donnie Allison's right front tire hit him, forced him into the wall on turn number 1, scraped him up a little bit, but obviously didn't affect the handling of Petty's car at all. He now looks like he might be in a position to take a run at Pearson himself. He's up alongside. That's called door handling, and it is Petty in the lead, and Waltrip goes right with him.
What a move! Both of them went past it, and look at Darrell Waltrip trying to get underneath Richard Petty. They're almost touching door handles. The door handles as they come right there. That is one of the daring moves that you could ever watch in motor racing. Darrell Waltrip, but my goodness, how Petty got past Pearson. Pearson must have had a slight fluff coming off turn 4 because both of those cars passed them on this very short straightaway. An amazing move there. Richard Petty getting himself back in the lead again with these tire marked side wall of his car, where, of course, Donnie Allison, as we just mentioned, brushed with him as they were going into turn 1. I couldn't quite understand that because they were under the yellow at the time. I'm not sure that Donnie Allison realized that. He may have had a very sore head at the time. Probably his ear had turned over inside his crash helmet. Not an unusual thing for a racing driver. You don't feel it for a while. You get very numb, and then it really starts to pain you. You get headaches with it, and of course your concentration goes. So I'm sure he did the right thing by coming in and changing with his brother. And Bobby Allison, of course, is now in car number 1.
And at the present time is not a prime contender. The three leaders are Petty in the lead with Waltrip right behind him, and David Pearson right now easing off to perhaps take just a breath and let him run. Bobby Allison is running a lap down with Benny Parsons 2 laps down in the Rebel 500. We'll be back. For the distance of 500 miles, the running order, Petty, Waltrip, Pearson, 3 cars, same lap. Bobby Allison, lap down. Benny Parsons, 2 laps down. We're at 390 miles right now. 14 cars out of the race, 22 of them still running. We understand something is developing regarding Richard Petty, our leader. Let's go to Chris Economaki to get the story on it.
Well, Keith, now here Richard Petty's pit. There's plenty fun to come and stand by. Petty has told his crew members his back hurt. On the last pit stop, one of the crewmen got inside the car and kicked at Petty's seat to try and readjust it to help the situation. But Lenny is standing by. Lenny, 3 years ago, you relieved Richard here. Do you think you'll get in the car before the day is out?
Well, I don't really know, Chris. His back is hurting right much, and they give him a couple of aspirin or something. He looks like he's doing pretty good right now.
He's a head taller than you are. You going to be able to reach the pedal?
Yeah, I can reach him all right. It's not real comfortable, but it's not that much further to go.
Okay, a possible story here with the leader. Back to you, Keith.
All right, thank you, Chris. And Jackie Stewart, having that much of a difference in size, it looks to me like it might be as much as 6 or 7 inches in height that the two men would seem to be a problem.
Well, surprisingly not in these stock cars, because Richard Petty, although he's a very big man, above 6 foot in height, drives with the steering wheel very close to his body. So therefore, that's one great advantage of Lenny Pond, who's about my height, and that's pretty small, around 5'6.5". We'll have to reach, of course, for the pedals a little bit, but as you don't work the clutch very often or the brake very often, you're really sticking of one pedal, and that's the accelerator, so you can stretch a little bit. There you have David Pearson going along, as ever, very smooth, but of course he's in third position right now. Darrell Waltrip in second position. He's breathing down the neck of Darrell Waltrip, and the man who's in discomfort, Richard Petty, is ahead of both of those cars. The car you're looking at now, of course, are these 3 cars coming up here. Richard Petty, to be in discomfort, of course, around a racetrack like this is not a good thing. When your back is wrong, you've got to remember you're going round 26 degrees of banking round here. There's a lot of G on your body, a great deal of G, probably around 2G minimum, and that certainly can't be comfortable if you've got aching muscles or a little crick in your back.
Well, right now, it appears that Petty, if he can get these pursuers in some traffic the way he's going, he might be able to lose them by a considerable distance, because he has opened up quite a bit. We have now passed 400 miles. We have 100 miles to go at lap 292, and Petty is really sailing. Richard's going to be running in the middle 40s right now. They were running right at 150 on an open track. Obviously, they slow down a little bit as they catch up in traffic, but he still is moving so very, very well. And with 14 cars gone, obviously, there is less traffic.
Well, of course, when you're in the lead, pain tends to disappear a little bit. The flavor of success and possible victory is a great antithesis to pain. And, of course, although he had a couple of aspirins, as they say, that's rather strange for me as a racing driver. When I was racing, I never used to take anything at all, just in case it dulled my senses, my reactions, or anything of that kind. But I would be surprised if aspirins would help in a case like this, simply because your adrenaline is so high in any case. Richard Petty, if he's got a muscular pain, a back problem, I think is sitting there gritting his teeth right now. He would be very reluctant to step out of his racing car while in the lead and hand this possible victory over to Lenny Pond.
Well, I don't think he's going to gamble and take the extra time for putting a new driver in there when he does have to make a pit stop under green. Now, I see smoke coming out of the back of car number 88. That's tire smoke. He's going up very high. Darrell Waltrip, and there is noticeable tire smoke coming as they enlarge the groove considerably down here in turns 1 and 2.
Well, of course, his crew, the car number 88, Darrell Waltrip in second position, and the lead car in your picture just now, could have set the car up to have a little bit of slide. And now that the track conditions are changing, he could be getting a thing called oversteer. That's when the car gets loose in the back. And, of course, tire smoke will come out then. That's a bad thing. It's not just the smoke. Of course, he's wearing more tires because that's actually losing grip. In addition to that, it's heating the tire up. And when a tire gets very hot, it doesn't act as well as it would do when it's at its proper working temperature. So it could be a problem for Darrell Waltrip.
Richard Petty is hanging on right now, running comfortably in front with Waltrip and Pearson right behind him. On the yellow flag flying here at the Rebel 500 as you watch live. Joe Mihalik in car number 61 apparently blowing an engine, and the yellow will be out until the track is inspected to find out whether or not Joe dropped oil on the track. It's slick enough as it is. He did not spin. He did not get in the way of any other car. He got his machine down off the racing area of the track rather quickly, but the yellow is out for the time being, and that gives us a chance to 367 laps to complete the race. Let's set the field. As they come around, you'll get the running order up front. Richard Petty, 43, Darrell Waltrip, 88, and then David Pearson in 21. Now, sitting right in behind Richard Petty, You see Bobby Allison driving Johnny Allison's car number 1. He is a lap down to Petty. He, however, is not a lap down to anybody else, and he's moving up alongside of Petty and unwinding himself right here going into turn number 3. And so, if Bobby Allison should be lucky and get another caution here, yellow flag, that would enable him to close right on around and be at the end of the pack, and once again back in challenging position. Now David Pearson moves up alongside of Richard Petty and wanted to take a shot at him, but couldn't handle it.
This strategically is a very important thing for Bobby Allison right now to stay ahead of this group. There haven't been many yellows here today in Darlington as David Pearson tries to get alongside of Richard Petty, and I think he'll have made it this time as they go in there. Can he hold it down low? Look at them getting together. And he got Richard all wrong, and in fact, David Pearson got into the back end loose there. Richard Petty was put off by that maneuver. He lost a lot of time on the racetrack there, and he was allowed to be passed by 2 of these vehicles. That was because he was so close to David Pearson. David Pearson himself, they may well have touched because he broke the back end loose.
Yeah, but the guy that really took the gamble was Waltrip. He went right down off the racetrack to pass Petty.
Yep, they really got themselves. That could easily have been a chain reaction of an accident there. It could easily have been a big mix-up. And certainly, Darrell Waltrip has been on it all day now, and he's been trying to stay as close as he can to David Pearson.
Well, on 3 different occasions, Darrell has been able to get in there. We got a car on the wall. Banging up there is Benny Parsons, car number 72. In between turns 3 and 4. Broke loose, hit the wall, got it down out of traffic. The yellow light is out again. And so Benny Parsons, who was running in the number 5 position, breaks loose between turns 3 and 4. That brings out the caution flag. That enables Bobby Allison, remember the point we just made, that enables Bobby Allison to come right on around and close in to become very much a factor in the final few laps of the Rebel 500. So bad piece of luck there for Benny Parsons. One time, 1975 in the Southern 500, I guess it was, it appeared that Benny had a race won, wound up on the wall. He hates the wall at Darlington, and I don't blame him because he has had a lot of bad luck with it. So the caution is out now with David Pearson holding the lead. Waltrip is second, and Benny Parsons is still out there running and smoking right now. He's going to have to go into pits.
It's in fact what's happening is the wheel arch is touching the tire, and that's why the smoke is coming out. I reckon, I don't think he's got any real problem. It may be an engine problem, but it seems to me that he may be getting one of the wheel arches touched underneath the car. That's what it looks like. It's coming from the front wheel arch there as we're looking at it. You can see there's been a little bit of distortion there in the front wing. He's coming into the pits.
All right, the pace car is out on the track. We're going to have caution until the track is clean. That'll give us a chance to show you what happened earlier in the day by videotape. We'll be right back with the videotape.
In a way, and Darrell Waltrip could be said to be the young, up-and-coming protege, if you like, because I'm sure he's going to be one of the great big stars of tomorrow. Car number 21, the Wood Brothers Mercury, one of the great racers of the world. And Darrell Waltrip, well, never know what's going to happen to a man like that. Very intelligent driver. Car number 88's been working well all day. He's always trying to find a way past David Pearson, trying to find a fresh bit of racetrack that maybe he can sneak by with.
Benny Parsons, incidentally, is still in contention. He's running a lap down in the number 5 position. But what about this young man from Franklin, Tennessee, Darrell Waltrip? Before the race started today, Chris Economaki talked to him, and the conversation reveals this.
Darrell Waltrip, as a person, forget the race driver. We know you're a college graduate, Darrell. Not too many of the competitors are college men. What made you turn to stock car racing as a way of life?
Well, my father-in-law said I was too lazy to work, so I became a race driver. I guess it's like anything else, Chris. I met with success early on in my racing career. Won a lot of late model sportsman races, and I feel like I've been relatively successful in Grand National. I've won 3 races of the 4 years that I've been in it. It pays well. It's exciting. The company's not too bad. Some of the competitors get a little rough every now and then, but, you know, that's that way in any competitive sport or any competitive business. I think the competition is probably the key to the whole thing. I don't know of anything I could do as well and get it keyed up as I do for automobile racing. I just love it, and I hope I can do it for the next 20 years.
Darrell, having a degree, anything you learn in college help you with the wheel?
you know, everything that you learn in books just doesn't seem to work in the race car. You have to throw away the books and do what your common sense tells you to. As far as preparing the car, yeah, everything I've ever learned in school has helped me as far as preparing the race car, but when it comes to driving it, it's more by the feel of your pants and partly by the feel of your head. Partly by the feel of your head. That's earlier comments from Darrell Waltrip, an engaging, entertaining young man, as Jackie indicated earlier, almost seemingly destined to be one of the future stars of this particular sport. We're now at 435 miles. The running order. It is Pearson, Waltrip, Petty, and Bobby Allison in the number 4 position, right there behind Richard Petty. And that Chevrolet has run very well for them so far today. It's going to be a gangbuster finish. I have never come to this old racetrack when I haven't seen this kind of a thing go right down to the wire.
No, I've never seen a racetrack here, or a race here, without a lot of action. There's been surprisingly few accidents today, or spin-outs for that matter, but it's always been very close. And there he tries to make a move, and look, they touched each other there. They actually came in contact. The squiggle that they got there, Darrell Waltrip could easily have lost it. David Pearson could easily have lost it. The quickness of reaction of these two drivers in that case, absolutely immediate. Richard Petty now making his move on Darrell Waltrip. Darrell Waltrip unsettled by that last maneuver. And the same thing could happen again. They're neck and neck as they come round in this very narrow racetrack with only one proper groove. Bobby Allison doing exactly the same thing to Darrell Waltrip, trying to crowd him out. A racing driver, when he gets into a loose move like that, tends to get unbalanced, tends to have to settle himself as well as the car back down again. You saw a very fast recovery there by Darrell Waltrip because a weaker driver would... And look at that for the lead. Richard Petty takes the lead as Darrell Waltrip follows him through. And Bobby Allison makes the lead as well. What close racing, the whole business.
It's incredible that they would choose to do it in traffic. And Waltrip is just absolutely dogged in his determination to hang on towards the front of the racetrack. Now, he has been in position where it's just mind-boggling, and there's David Pearson now giving him a little bit of his own medicine as he takes it down low in turn number 3. Those 4 cars are all in the same lap. Petty is the leader, Waltrip is second, Pearson is third, Bobby Allison is fourth.
Well, you would have to go to any end of the world to try and compare with this, a spectacular motor racing. I've never seen anything like it. When I come down to these stock car races of the greatest spectacle in motor racing, you could never hope to get anything better. And look at them right there. David Pearson now alongside. He's got it taken there. He's got it. He's got it from Waltrip. As he goes very high, Waltrip goes low. Have you ever seen anything like this?
And remember, they're no more, at the very most, than 3 yards apart. No more than 10 feet at any time. And they're traveling at speeds upwards of 145 to 150 miles an hour. But while those 3 were skirmishing, it enabled Richard Petty to put a little bit of distance on him. He's got him now by the better part of 50 yards.
It's fantastic. I think this performance, look at David, he's actually pushing there on Darrell Waltrip as they go in there to turn 3. Absolutely incredible. And of course, Bobby Allison's not very far away. Again, they seem to close up a little bit on Darrell Waltrip, but there's your man who's still leading. Car number 43, King Richard Petty. He has about 50 yards on Darrell Waltrip right now. That, of course, in a racetrack like this is just a breath.
43 laps to go. 43, not that much. You can't get careless. You're going to give away something here. You're going to give away a position on the racetrack.
And remember, the man who's leading the race, Richard Petty, is suffering from a bad back. I can't believe he's feeling it right now. He's looking at his mirror. He's seeing the 3 cars behind him there. He's seeing, as you can see, the difference in the racetrack, which is not very much at all. So Richard Petty can't be allowed to relax his body muscles at all as they go through there in traffic. All of these cars really being very competitive. They're just all drivers really being on top of it.
Radio contact with the pits. Let's go to Chris Economack and see if the pits knows any more about Richard's condition.
Say again. Okay. In Darrell Waltrip's pit, Darrell is running very hard. He's smoking his tires. We asked his crew chief why, and he said he's trying to keep up. He may have a tire problem before it's all over. An interested spectator today is world champion and all-around cowboy Larry Mahan. Your first order race, Larry. What do you think
of it all. First one, and I loved it. I got to wave the green flag to start this thing off, and when all those cars were coming at me, I cried. It was so beautiful. I loved it. It's like seeing that woman for the first time that you know you love. You know, it's great.
Okay, it's got the rodeo cowboys, too. Back to you, Keith.
I didn't want to hear from Mahan. I wanted to hear how Richard Petty's getting along. Larry Mahan, of course, is an old chum. We've traveled half the world together. He was up here a while ago, and he was just flat jumping up and down. He was so excited. He is a lot of fun and quite an athlete and accomplished performer in his own right. So apparently, the indication is, as we get it, that Richard Petty is going to hang with it unless something dire happens. And right now, he seems reasonably comfortable because he's sitting up in the lead at 445 miles or 326 laps with Walter, Pearson, Allison, and Parsons right behind him. Practically proximate to one another. It is still a 4-car draft wheeling along. We have completed 329 laps, heading for 367, which would finish off another exciting Rebel 500. No changes occurring among the leadership, though any one of the 4 is in a position, or any one of the 3 is in a position to have a run at the leader, Richard Petty. Traffic has thinned out some now, 15 cars having been retired from the race. That would put 21 on this 1.366-mile racetrack. And now David Pearson looks like he's getting a little bit itchy. He wants to get a little closer to Richard Petty, but Darrell Waltrip is so close to Petty that he's literally massaging him, and he's not giving David Pearson much room to operate. You can see as they come now up on the traffic coming down off turn number 4, that Bobby Allison tends to run just a little lower as he takes a peek to see where the traffic is and where he might have a chance to make his move.
As they go around there, the shadows beginning to go across the racetrack, difference in light, if oil goes down, that's the time that a driver can't see as much of the racetrack as he would like, but they've certainly closed that gap on Richard Petty. They're very close to him now as they go through turn 3. Into turn 4. Coming out of turn 4, you'll see a very bad bump on the racetrack. This tends to upset the cars just about there. It really moves the cars around as David Pearson tries to make a move, and Darrell Waltrip is not going to make it. Not this time.
Waltrip just simply not giving him any room, is he? There is no room. And there's no room for Allison, who looks like he wants to be bold. Now, he's tucked right in behind Pearson. If Pearson can find a crack or read a mistake on the part of any one of the 2 men in front, then Allison obviously is going to try to go right with him. But so far today, we have had no mishaps of any consequence. Benny Parsons nipped the wall, but Benny stayed in the race after a change of tires and is running in the number 5 position right now. And we had one other incident where it appeared that we might have had a man get involved with the wall, but a masterful job of driving did not brush the wall at all. We've had a couple of engines let go, which have caused some caution flags, but nothing serious. And it's really been quite remarkable. The last 2 Grand National races that we have seen, the Atlanta 500 just went on forever before we ever got a yellow flag. And here at Darlington, sometimes referred to as NASCAR's Destruction Derby. But it has not been that way at all today. It's been a very sanitary, very exciting, and a very obviously competitive race. 4 cars now wheeling along at 335 laps completed.
Well, there we go. We've got Richard Petty still holding that lead there. It's a very slender lead. You've got these fellas going round. It's a great... And look at David getting underneath Darrell Waltrip there. Is he going to do it? He's made it. Is he going to move up? Bobby Allison's trying to follow him through. Can he do it? Bobby Allison's made it, and Darrell Waltrip's now gone to the back of that chain, if you like, the 4 chain there of Richard Petty. Then you've got David Pearson.
That's anticipation, Jackie. Pearson knew full well he had to sit there and wait for Waltrip to have a problem or make a mistake, and apparently he read it perfectly.
He must have done it very well because David Pearson really took his moment there. Now it'll be interesting to see if he takes the same chance with Richard. He's very close to Richard. David Pearson, the man in your picture right now, moves out and tries to get past. Can he make it? He's done it. He's going in side by side into turn 1. And are they going to touch again? They're very close to each other. David Pearson there. Richard Petty holding up. Can he come out there in line? Look at them. They're like a couple of acrobats up there, and they've still got Petty ahead as he goes down the back stretch.
I can't believe that. I can't believe it. Pearson has to back off going into 3. He just simply had to come off of it a little bit. But have you ever in your life, can you imagine in a racetrack that is called a one-groove track, and these two guys, Petty and Pearson, will talk to you day and night about how tight it is to drive on this racetrack, and here they are with all of these enormous records they've compiled, the millions of dollars they have won, the thousands of miles they have run, the races they have won, and here they are, door handle to door handle, running on a one-groove racetrack. And apparently David right now just simply does not have enough car to get past Richard Petty. And here's Darrell Waldrop now moving up alongside Bobby Allison.
And he looks like he's going to make it. They're almost touching as well as they come down on the front straightaway. Darrell Waldrop coming into turn 1 now. Now this again is a potentially dangerous situation because he's going to have to stay low in the racetrack. He goes up the hill. He's going up. Bobby Allison's got the advantage of him and he's going to stay there. Well, as you said, what do these drivers say? Every time I speak to them, they say, well, you've got to be conservative, you've got to drive with your head, it's the only way you're going to finish the race. But when you see them going out like that, a little bit contradictory. They say that racing drivers are split personalities, and I think you're seeing them today. Look at that maneuver with slow traffic. Richard Petty nearly hit the yellow car there. He's gone low in the tank, because David Pearson goes high, but he still holds second place.
Good grief. I think he actually bumped that car as he went inside of him a little bit. I was just going to say, if this is conservatism, Jackie, heaven help us. But now David Pearson pulls away a little bit as Petty just narrowly escaped near disaster there. I don't know how difficult the wreck might have been, but nonetheless, it was so close to being a moment that could have taken him out. Look at him. It looked to me like he just touched him.
Well, if he didn't touch him in the back, it must have been an incredible move. Now, there's where you see a driver controlling a car. He's doing a minimum of 145 miles an hour when that happens. The car breaks loose. He's on fresh ground, remember. No cars have been down in that part of the racetrack. And that's where you see a great master in action. A mistake was made, an error, and he corrected it without losing time or without losing control of his car. A great driver.
That keeps him busy enough not to worry about that sore back, I'll guarantee you, because I don't think he took breath probably for at least a half a lap after that little dance. I'll tell you. Oh, Pearson, Petty, Allison, Waldrop, we're heading for a spectacular finish. We have 25 laps to go in the Rebel 500. David Pearson leads. Bobby Allison has now moved up into second place. Darrell Waldrop has taken third place. Richard Petty has dropped back to fourth. The 4 leaders are pretty well strung out considering what they were a moment ago. And the reason for it is this. Watch car number 43 in turn 1.
Suddenly, Richard Petty got very loose. Look at the amount of slide he's got on there. The cars behind him look as if they're going to run into him. Bobby Allison looks as if he's going to hit him, and so does Darrell Waldrop. For Richard Petty to get that car back in control was an incredible feat. The steering ratio in these cars is very low. That means to say you've got to turn the steering wheel a long way for anything to happen. And for him to get opposite lock to correct that slide sufficiently quickly under those conditions was indeed a very, very careful and well-calculated act.
Now the relationship of the pursuers to the leader. There you see the white car with the white hood. That is number 21, David Pearson, running in second place. In the dark maroon car, it is Bobby Allison driving in relief of his brother Donnie. And it's Darrell Waldrop farther back, and then Richard Petty is right behind Darrell Waldrop. We have now 19 laps to go in the race. And Pearson opened up a little bit of breathing room as a result of that near mishap. If Petty had lost it down there in turn between 1 and 2, conceivably he could have taken himself out of the race. He could have taken Bobby Allison out and Darrell Waldrop. All 3 pursuers could have been gone in that split second. But not so, as Petty turns in another masterful job of controlling the car. Now here's Chris Economac.
On the racetrack, Pearson is leading in a Mercury and Petty is in a Dodge back in 4th place. These 2 cars are sticking quite well, while the Chevy Monte Carlos are skating up in the turns. With 4 cars battling for the lead, there's no taking it easy, and they're heating up the tires. And different cars act differently when the tires are heated up. And as for Richard Petty, he's committed to staying in the car to the balance of the race. His back is bothering him, and that may have been the problem. probably had with that little miscue over there before. Back to you, Keith.
All right, Chris, and you're looking at the leader, David Pearson there. He has a lead of about 75, maybe 85 yards over Bobby Allison. In case you want to plan ahead, I might tell you that the upcoming NASCAR races include April 17, the Southeastern 500 at Bristol, Tennessee, and that's a little roughy. April 24, Virginia 500, Martinsville, and May 1, the Alabama 500 at Talladega. Bobby Allison has enough car left to close on Pearson. Well, whether or not that meticulously engineered and so carefully prepared Mercury put together by the Woods brothers is just going to be too much car. I think the abilities of the men at the wheel now, when you talk about Pearson, when you talk about Allison, Waltrip, and Petty, the abilities are comparable. And now I would think Jackie primarily would have to boil down to the handling of the car and the horsepower that remains under the hood.
That's true, Keith, but a man like David Pearson is a very difficult man to get past under any circumstances. We'll be right back in a minute.
13 laps to go. It is now 12 laps to go. We have just completed 3:54, heading for 3:67, and you can see that Bobby Allison has closed some on David Pearson. As a matter of fact, he has run right in behind him in turn number 3, and as they come off 4, let's see whether or not Pearson's able to put any distance on Allison. We're going to be going to the Grand National Speedway Chase in Aintree, England, as soon as our race is done here. That's a great, glorious moment of sport from England. But right now, we're watching to see whether or not David Pearson can hang on. David Pearson, who used to listen to the broadcasts of the races here at Darlington while working on his other cars, had this comment earlier to Chris Economaki.
I'm under the shade tree working on sportsman or something like that, and I always heard of Darlington, and the people are getting to Darlington Stripe, rubbing the wall and running 130 miles an hour. And I always said those guys was crazy, you know, to come to a place and run it close to the wall. So, and before I noticed, here I was doing the same thing.
Call yourself crazy?
Well, I wouldn't say crazy, but it does. You just really got to want to do it to be here.
How much oomph does it take to decide to go up there and scrape that wall? Sort of against your better nature when you come here, isn't it? Walls are not to be hit, but you have to do that. You had to do that in those days, didn't you?
Well, not now since they got the wall, but when they had the guardrail, you more or less had to. In fact, when there was the guardrail, you could come up and rub it, just get barely touch it, and it sounded like the whole side of the car was torn off the tar. But you get out and just feel a little scratch. So normally what most drivers would do that's been around a long time was the first thing out, quick as they go out, they would just go ahead and get against the rail easy, then get it over with, and they wouldn't feel so bad when they did go up and rub it.
Earlier comments of David Pearson, the leader. You saw while David was talking, Bobby Allison close and make a couple of moves, but did not quite have enough room and quite enough horsepower to get by it. But Allison is still in challenging posture. I was amused, Jackie, by the story that when David came here, he got away without ever taking a rookie test. They thought he had run here previously, so he never really took a rookie test in his first race here on the Granddaddy racetrack.
Well, he has certainly got away with that, but Bobby Allison, you can see, and that's him on the top left-hand side of your picture. That's him also in car number 1. It's been a real family affair for the Allisons today. Donnie Allison started in car number 1, had a severe headache, came into the pits, handed over to his brother Bobby, whose car had earlier dropped out of the race, and he's now pushing David Pearson very hard indeed. It seems to me that the car of Bobby Allison, the number 1 car, is handling a little better than the car number 21, the Mercury of David Pearson. David Pearson's car occasionally gets loose. You can occasionally see a little tire smoke coming off the Pearson car. Bobby Allison is really able to go on more of the racetrack, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Bobby making a pass pretty soon. He's going to have to do it pretty soon because there aren't too many laps left, and he's trying to make a move right now.
Bobby moving up alongside of David Pearson. Kitty Allison is just getting over a broken hip. Your sons are having themselves quite a day here in Darlington. And Bobby Allison has the lead. Bobby Allison, who won this race, and we've got a big mix-up up in turn number 4. We got cars all over the racetrack in turn number 4 as Allison jumps into the lead and gets it, and the yellow flag is out. We had a half a dozen cars that looked like Tango up in turn number 4. Now, they'll start sorting them out, but Bobby Allison will hold that position in front of David Pearson. It is not inconceivable but what this race could finish under the yellow. 361 laps have been completed. You can see that is car number 70 that is literally smashed against the wall there as we had a bunch of the slower cars tangled up. J.D. McDuffie really banged his car in there as he got involved in the skirmish. Wow. So Bobby Allison just slipping past David Pearson as the yellow is out. And in 1975, Bobby won this race in profiting from a mishap not terribly dissimilar from what we have just had here. All of the cars involved in the shut-up there can't define for you at this particular moment, but we do know that number 70 seems to be the one most brutally damaged. So the race could finish under the yellow. We'll be right back to sum it up for you. The pace car is on the track right now. We have 4 laps to go. 4 laps to go. I think the race is going to finish under the yellow. They're frantically trying to clean it off so that we can have a drag race to the finish. You see Bobby Allison driving up alongside the pace car. He's talking to them. Darrell Waltrip right in behind the pace car. Richard Petty is right there. Now David Pearson ducked into the pits and took left side tires. So that would seemingly almost take David out of it. As we come around this time, there'll only be 3 laps left in the race.
And here we have this pass for the lead that we had here. Bobby Allison coming low, and David Pearson, as he comes down the front straightaway, he got sort of level with him. It looked like David Pearson still had the line for the corner, but Bobby Allison did go lower on the racetrack as they go around here. As we follow them round this corner, if we can see that in a moment, you'll see, but we're back now with the live action. We're back under the yellow, and you can see that the pace car is out there. The 2 cars are almost side by side. Darrell Waltrip and the white car, the top right hand of your picture, and the red car number 1 is Bobby Allison, who had taken that lead just a few moments ago, and just in fact probably seconds before the accident occurred that brought out the yellow.
You know, Bobby Allison is in there. He wants to make doubly sure who's in first place. So right now let's go to Chris Economaki.
Allison and Walter both think they're leading. They crossed the line almost abreast, and they're fighting with the pace car driver.
That was what I thought. I had the feeling that Allison had come up because Waltrip had closed right behind the pace car. The NASCAR scoreboard shows 88 the leader, but Allison had passed Pearson to get the lead. Pearson hit the pits. Allison did not pit. And Chris, what's the word from you now?
Well, that's right. They both came to the yellow flag, and there were slower cars. One was high and one was very low, and they hit the line almost abreast. It's a judge's decision as to which car is leading, and the pace car will tell which driver who is first. In a moment, we'll find out. Back to you.
All right, but so far, the man in the pace car has not indicated as to which car he thinks. He probably doesn't know either. They're probably going to have to go into the NASCAR scoring here to get a determination as to which car was in first place, because when the yellow came out, Bobby Allison had just passed Pearson, then apparently backed off just a little bit. In the meantime, Waltrip closed, and they came across that particular lap almost even. But Waltrip and Allison both think, I am sure, that they should have the lead. Bobby Allison has had his share of frustrations. He has been the higher driver on many occasions where he has driven fine equipment, but he wanted to be his own man. He wanted to go out and do his own thing on his own. He has tried to do it. He has not had a great deal of luck, but right here, he's trying for some in Darlington. Here's his comment on his recent experiences.
Bobby, you've given up being a contract driver to go out on your own. It's been a tough couple of seasons you've had so far. Is this a tougher way to go for you than just being a hired driver?
Well, naturally, just being a hired driver is kind of the soft life and everything. But really, all my life, I've wanted to be very competitive. I've worked hard to be competitive, and first of all, I believe you got to be at the racetrack to be competitive. You can't pick a few races and hope you win one before the season's over and have any kind of a long-time career. And so, whereas I would really rather be driving, let's say, for the Wood Brothers or something, that particular situation was not available to me, so I chose to try it again on my own.
All right, comments earlier from Bobby Allison. The white flag is out. Here's the word from NASCAR. Jay Milligan straightened it out. They say that 88 passed 1 on the way to the caution flag. they can continue to race around to the caution flag at the start-finish line. That's what happened. Allison got caught in traffic, and apparently Waltrip passed him. So your running order in the white flag lap under yellow, and that's the way they're going to finish. It'll be Waltrip 88 who passed Allison on the way to the caution flag. Allison running second, Petty third, and Pearson 4. Well, I'm sorry if it got a little mixed up on you, but I was under the impression that Allison had been able to hold his lead. But again, the point to be made is you can continue to race until you have crossed the start-finish line under the yellow flag. And that's how Darrell Waltrip was able to get past Bobby Allison. There was such a melee up there in turn number 4, it was almost a miracle any of them got through it in the first place. And J.D. McDuffie's car was the only one that was really smashed up. You know that we're going to have a roaring argument when this race is over. As they come around now behind the pace car, Bobby Allison is running down low. Darrell Waltrip is so close to that pace car, he's almost in the front. The checkered flag is going to come out, and this should indicate victory for Darrell Waltrip. With Bobby Allison second, Richard Petty third, David Pearson fourth. So, President Kanamaki, when they get down into victory lane, you better get some earplugs, because I think you're going to have some fierce conversation.
Well, to make matters worse, Keith, it looks like it's about to pour down. You know, the scorers here at Darlington are in turn 4. And the start-finish line does not have any scoring personnel right at it, where that decision as to who gets there first is made. And it would be interesting if we had a picture, sort of a photo finish, as to who got there first under the yellow, whether it was Donnie Allison, or rather Bobby Allison and Donnie's number 1, and Darrell Waltrip in the 88 car. Back to you.
Well, there's no reason to finish a race like this in a quiet, docile manner. That would not be in keeping with the history of the Rebel 500 here at Darlington. But the way we have it at the moment, it is Waltrip, Allison, Petty, Pearson in that order. And we'll be back to hopefully get the final summation for you from the Rebel 500 in just a moment. But that's the way we see it now. 88 the winner. Waltrip. So
well,
let's join him.
I'm 2 feet away. I'm almost with him. And is he ever a happy-looking fellow coming in here? What a way to... he almost bowled over some of the photographers getting his number 88 Dygard Chevy stopped here. And we'll give his wife a chance to get in there first. It's his first super speedway win. There you go. Congratulations, Darrell.
Yes, what a finish.
Hey, did you win it?
Did I win it? Damn right I won it. On the last, well, wasn't the last lap. Well, hey, just let me tell you, when I'm about 50, I'm going to sit down and tell my grandkids how I won the Darlington 500.
When did you pass the number 1 car? Hey, Bill Gardner, car owner, coming in here. And he congratulates his driver. Hey,
He's going on the race.
how did you get Donnie, or Bobby rather, in the number 1 car? How and where, Darrell?
I need a cold rig with some ice. I'm dizzy. What did you say?
I said, how did you get the number 1 car and where?
Well, Bobby hit the wall up there, and he was all crossed up, and I saw what was happening, and I just stood on the gas, and I beat him back to the line.
Well, he apparently didn't think so.
Chris?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Keith.
This is Keith. Now, I want to tell you something, that we have been informed by NASCAR that they are withholding this decision as official. They want to see some pictures.
Darrell, NASCAR has said the decision is being withheld as official until they look at some pictures. So maybe your grandkids may have to wait.
I got one right here, and I know I'm right. I beat him to the line well over a car length. I know I did.
Well, that, of course, is the key to it. Now, how do you feel your first super speedway win?
I'm just thrilled to death for Gatorade and Bill Gardner.
There is ritual.